The question presented here was to solve the system of nonlinear equations, x squared plus y squared equal 5 and y equals 3x minus 5. I am going to solve this by substitution. So for substitution, you need to have one variable isolated in either of the two equations, and that's already happening in the second equation, y equal 3x minus 5. So I'm going to take this second equation and plug it in for y in this first equation. So we have x squared equal, x squared plus 3x minus 5 and squared equal to 5. From here, I am going to raise 3x minus 5 to the second power. So to do that, 3x minus 5 squared is the same thing as 3x minus 5 times 3x minus 5. So if we FOIL, we get 9x squared minus 15x minus 15x, and then plus 25. So this is really 9x squared minus 30x plus 25. So 3x minus 5 squared, again, is 9x squared minus 30x plus 25. Bringing down the first x squared and the equal 5, we can now combine like terms. X squared plus 9x squared is 10x squared. Something else we'll want to do is, because we now have a quadratic equation, we want to bring the 5 over to the left and combine it with the 25. So this becomes 10x squared minus 30x plus 20 equals 0. Now we will solve this by either factoring or using the quadratic formula, completing the square. I'm going to first start by factoring out a common factor of 10 to give x squared minus 3x plus 2. And I'm going to just continue to factor. So x squared minus 3x plus 2 does factor. Two numbers that multiply to the constant of 2 and add to the coefficient of x of negative 3 would be negative 1 and negative 2. So we would have x minus 1 and x minus 2. Now setting each factor equal to 0, 10 equals 0 doesn't make sense. X minus 1 equals 0 and x minus 2 equals 0, we could solve both of those. So we could add 1 to both sides and get positive 1. And we could also add 2 to both sides of this equation and get positive 2. Now we have to go ahead and find the corresponding y value for those two x values. So I'm going to use this second equation, the y equal 3x minus 5, to find the y value. So again, I'm using y equal 3x minus 5. So if x equal 1, then let's plug in 1 for x. We get y equal 3 times 1 minus 5. 3 times 1 is 3, and minus 5 will give negative 2. So the ordered pair 1, negative 2 satisfies the system, but also let's now plug in the 2. So if x is 2, then y equals 3 times 2 minus 5. 3 times 2 is 6, and then minus 5 is 1. So when x is 2, y is 1. You could always check by plugging these ordered pairs back into the systems, but these are your two solutions for solving the system of equations.